It was just a crazy person in that area. And then the last thing is the papal transition, that they're going into the conclave this week. And
maybe they'll get a black pope. How about that?
Bianchi mentioned that, but I highly doubt it.
Wow, that could be. Could they get one that's non-binary?
They were considering a Filipino pope that was, they called him the Pope Francis of the Philippines.
Wow. Could they get the Virgin Mary?
No, but lately I've been hearing on Catholic news more updates on that sighting of Fatima, where those 3 kids saw Mary.
Right.
And they dug up the bones of one of the witnesses and something about her teeth. I didn't really follow the news story.
Interesting.
So, do you think with the Pope dying and the younger generation liking him, do you think that it's made a big impact in the world the last 2 weeks? Oh, wait, someone's calling in. Suzette. Hi, Suzette.
Hey.
Okay, we're merging the call. Okay, Suzette and John are now on the air.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to reset it, reboot it. My phone is slower than molasses.
And by the way, Don was on the call, and the whole call dropped, which never happens. So,
Wow.
John, before you answer the question about the papacy, let Suzette tell me the research about the bomb.
Oh, so basically what I was going to say was that the people in charge of the investigations of January 6th had neglected a lot of different aspects of it and just focused on putting people in jail, taking away their rights under the Freedom of Information Act, which shouldn't apply to Americans, but it does in that case where they arrested them without due process, and finally that came through. But things like this bomber, that up until 3 months ago, the video, the news media started releasing it, and actually only parts of it, showing that there was a pipe bomber sitting in a bench there in front of the DNC, and then it cuts off. But the entire video now has been released by people, and not the media, because they'll chop it all up. But anyway, it shows him walking to the benches. There's people walking next to him. He's got that backpack, and they still haven't found this person. And yet they used every tool in their box to find January 6th people, to the point of using social media. They basically scoured the country for them. And yet this person was a pipe bomber in front of, a backpack with a BP in the office right next to there. And the Secret Service didn't do anything or react. I think it was for, I want to say 30 minutes, but and he just walked off into the sunset. So, things like that should have been heightened as far as looking for this guy. He just, fell off the face of the earth, and here we are how many years later, and they're just barely releasing partial parts of the video, and they still can't find the guy? I don't understand. Anyway, so I think that's why he fired him, and the lawyers too, because it didn't seem like they really wanted to get to the heart of anything. It was basically a focus and intentional going after
cases. It seems politically, though, that the Democrats clearly thought the people in the crowd were the bad guys. I don't really want to rehash this. I was just trying to figure out why so many firings occurred. But
yeah.
I mean,
as far as there were bad actors there, definitely, and I don't want to rehash it either. But I'm also not defending all of them either. So I agree there were bad actors.
Yeah, like how did it? Some of the police were squished, like up against posts and stuff. So that's really.
Yeah, they were all pushing in. They didn't give them any consideration. And I'm talking J6ers, not Antifa or anybody else. There were conservatives there that got on the wild side, hurt people.
Yeah, I did find a picture of the pipe bomber. They were wearing a gray sweatshirt and dark pants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I sent you the video so you can watch it later.
So, do you guys think, John, you're still there? John Yoder?
Oh, I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is, do you guys think that, thank you for reporting that. Do you think Zelensky and Trump made any progress this week in their 15-minute discussion at the funeral of the Pope?
No, because Zelensky's getting backing now from the European Union, UK.
I heard about that.
And NATO, and they don't want that war to stop. And so as long as he's being funded, he'll continue.
Yeah, I heard that Vladimir Putin bombed the crap out of Kyiv in the last 2 weeks. Like one day he dropped 159 style bombs or drone style bombs. And even
they started playing with him.
Well, even Trump chewed out Putin for that. And then there was a guy in Russia, a high-ranking leader general, who got killed right after our American envoy was over there.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
John, what do you have this week to talk about?
Well, it's interesting that Russia has Vladimir and Ukraine has Volodymyr. So, and I guess one's 5'6". Let's see how tall Putin is. He's got to be, what, 5'7"?
He's 5'7".
Oh, he's got him by an inch. But, Putin's got a hot girlfriend. Like he dumped his wife. He's with a gymnast. Like she was on the Olympic team, and she's very flexible. You can see she's very, very flexible.
He dropped his wife?
Well, yeah, dropped it, I don't know, 20-some years or something like that, kids, the whole thing. And they dropped her and then he's got this young honey. You can look at she's hot. And he's got like castles and things like that she lives in. Like, it takes her all over the place, but still a little out of the camera, the hot lights.
Is this considered headline news?
I tell you, well, she loves him just for who he is the whole thing.
Isn't he in his late 50s?
Yeah, let's check out old Putin. He's my man.
John, I don't think
he wants to compete with Trump.
John,
so he's got his own Melania.
John, that's not headline news. And it's Volodymyr Zelensky. There's two O's in it. Volodymyr.
Putin declares temporary truce during Victory Day anniversary celebrations. That's hot today. Hot. It announces temporary ceasefire in Ukraine. What?
Can somebody look up the Russian general who was killed this week? I can't do it because you guys are on my phone.
Well, he declares a 3-day ceasefire. I mean, now, Jane, we had talked about how Trump was incapable of knowing international foreign policy. And here, it's 3 months in, he's got a 3-day ceasefire. How does that compare to Biden's negotiation skills?
Was it Trump's idea to do the ceasefire or Vladimir's?
Well, after 4 years, I'm sure Putin just thought of it all by himself. He thought, I should just do this because I'm a nice guy. Of course Trump was pushing him.
But then he didn't honor it.
Well, that's his nature.
Yeah, we were just talking about how he bombed the crap out of Kyiv this week.
I know, but he's got a 3-day ceasefire. I mean, let's see how long that
Does it start today?
72 hours?
Does it start today?
Starts today, I guess. By Wednesday, we could go back to bombing them.
I did hear something disturbing on NPR. they were interviewing people in a village in the Ukraine, and one night the women generally hide in their houses when the Russians are there, and one night 3 Russian drunk soldiers went in and killed a whole family, a mom and dad and 2 kids, just because they were drunk.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Well, I'm just very upset. Like that's not strategic. That's just pure warfare.
It's a culture. It's a severe culture, but they're both on the same area. So I don't know morally if one's better than the other. I mean,
I know, like the Donbass region is primarily Russian speaking, and they have Russian loyalists. But there's other parts of the Ukraine where they're just invaded and they're not affiliated with the Russians, and they just have to do what they can to survive. I know.
I have to question that person that gave their account of what happened as far as her family being killed by the Russian. I only say this, I'm just speculating as far as just questioning it, because only those people over there know what's going on. But when October 7th had happened, they had Israelis flown here to the U.S., and there was one that had claimed that she was raped, or her sister was raped. That's what it was. Her sister was raped, and it was in the New York Times.
Is this Israeli Gaza? I'm talking about the Ukraine.
Right. But the similarities were the same as far as she claimed that that the family was killed. Same with the other young lady that said she was raped and her family members were killed. And then it was turned out to be not true. And so that's why I say I question as far as
let me rephrase this.
Going on, but Ukraine.
This was a woman in a village that her and her husband were newly married. They had to stay with their parents. Her family didn't get killed. It was another family in the village that got killed by drunk Russian soldiers. So it wasn't her family. It was another family in the village.
Okay. Well, the same claim is made that there was a killing by either a Gazan or Hamas, or in this case, Russian. So I'm just saying a lot of the same similarities there, and it happened just after that bombing went off. So it makes Putin look worse. And I'm not defending Putin, and I'm not defending Israel. I'm just saying these stories seem to pop up like that, and then they're proven later to be false. So that's why I said it's just an open question. I'm not saying anything about
I understand. In the case of the NPR, though, now, it's kind of like Al Jazeera. They have people that go directly all over the world to all different places, and they interview people directly. It's not some shoestring budget. However, Trump is planning to cut funding for NPR, so they might not be able to go everywhere they used to go.
Well, this was the LA Times that broke the story with
really?
Thing.
Like, for example, in Miramar, like NPR went all the way to Miramar after the earthquake. Now, I didn't realize there were a lot of Catholics living in Miramar. Our church has we have missionaries in Miramar. That's one of the roughest countries to go to as far as witnessing, because they've had a lot of upheaval over the last 20 years. So didn't Miramar used to be Burma? You guys? John, what happened to you?
Good question.
Did Miramar used to be Burma?
That I don't know, but I can tell you, Putin is 1 inch taller. He was married 31 years, and these pictures of his girlfriend, I tell you, she can put her legs behind her head.
All right, John, you know what? You're worse than Dawn.
She's doing it. No, I'm telling you. I mean, she's doing this in public on an Olympic gym mat in front of millions of people. She's got her legs behind her head, and she's straddling a ball. I mean, this is his girlfriend. She's hot. She looks like a doll. She truly does.
Are you on CBD gummies?
I'm checking to see if it's Google or if it's a porn site.
Okay,
I
we're
don't know.
changing
No,
the
it's Google.
subject.
Okay.
We're changing the.
I say Putin wins round one, hands down.
All right, Suzette and John, think of a new topic. I'm calling Don to. Don is my life link now. I'm calling Don. 1 minute. Think of a topic.
Don Gallimore can't take your call. And calling
Okay.
it a constitutional crisis. And what's this world coming to? But they blatantly have been harboring illegal aliens. One a gang member, the other one I don't know. I didn't hear if he was a gang member. I know that he had committed some crimes, and ICE came to deport him, and she hit him and then let him go. How do you do that?
Wait a minute. What happened?
The victims of his crime. What?
What happened?
Oh, the judge was in session. You know how judges do, and they go to the different pleadings as far as guilty, not guilty. They have a day where they do that. So all the people come in that have to do their plea, whether it's from the jails or their OR, and they come in on their own recognizance. Anyway, so the family of the victim, who was, I guess, killed, showed up to see what was going to happen with this illegal alien that had come in to make his plea. And the judge was told that ICE had showed up for his deportation. They had deportation orders for him, a warrant. And so she stopped court. She went out to go talk to them, and they said that, you know, they had a warrant for his arrest, and she said that they needed to take it upstairs in order to execute it. So while they went to go do that, she went back into court. She had told the defendant and his lawyer, come with me. And so she had brought him back in her chambers that led to a hallway that was restricted to personnel only, and told them to go out, follow down the hallway there. And then she let them know when it was time for them to go ahead and exit the building. And so ICE came back out. It was like, okay, so where is he? And she's like, I don't know. You know, he was there in the courtroom. And she's like, I don't know. So they went out and they you know, as far as they figured out this way or that way, and they ended up getting him and arresting him. But
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the family's sitting there going, hey, everybody's gone that's going to be before the court, and we're still sitting here giving us justice for it. So, you know, I don't know. So anyway, they were very upset because, you know, they didn't get to hear or see anything because she let him go. Yep.
Wow. Don's on the call now.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hi, sorry about that. My phone died. I forgot that I had the lights at work, so I forgot I didn't charge it. I haven't charged much. Hi, Suzette.
Hi.
John Yoder's on the phone, and by the way, Don, I called you twice and it went straight to voicemail.
My phone died.
So are you using Pat's phone?
I'm in my car now. I left the baseball game. They're getting beat pretty bad, so I said I'd rather go on phone call right now because I used to be a coach. These coaches these days, they don't even know what they're doing. They're just out here trying to be nice guys or something. I don't even know. But anyway, what were you talking about?
John, Suzette's talking about an ICE guy who escaped during a court hearing, and John talked about Vladimir Putin's new girlfriend.
What,
I think John got his door open, or his car, or something beeping.
Correct. And yeah.
I was wondering where that was coming from. I thought it was from my kitchen.
I hope Don doesn't overheat in there, but yeah, I was being bad because we're talking about there's Vladimir Zelenskyy and there's Vladimir Putin. You know, it's like the battle of the Vlads. And One is 5'7". Putin's 1 inch taller, and Zelensky's 5'6". But Putin he dumped his wife for 31 years for this hot Olympic gymnast, and I was just looking at some of her pictures. I think Putin's got him beat on that one. I think these guys, go on the wrestling mat and just fight for their country. The winner takes all. That's what I think they say.
The Jewish.
So you're saying this bitch is cuter than Christy Nome? Oh,
she's hot. Oh yeah. Well, imagine if Christy had a daughter and she's 24. She's a gymnast. I was explaining to Jane. She's got, she's performing in front of millions on the Olympics, and she's got her legs behind her.
Okay, you guys, we have 2 viewers right now.
No. It's pretty good. All she has to do is have her tongue. Is her tongue cut out? I hope it is.
You know what, John? This is you guys, John, stop!
She's straddling a rubber ball on a gym.
I took you guys off speaker. Now shape up or ship out. Okay. Does that?
So crude now.
We're-
I'm being reported.
John, you're in trouble. Okay.
Jane is ice now. She's deported.
No.
Well, Don egged him on.
John's come over the border a couple times. He deported you about 4 or 5 times.
My grandma did. My great grandma. She was fast.
John, do you know what the consequences if you violate the show one more time?
No, I get time out.
I'm calling 1-800-AMBI.
Oh, Ambi has my. If you don't believe in the devil, I'll introduce you to my ex-girlfriend. Trust me.
Suzette Matter in real life.
I thought she was still running after you.
Oh, she called me. She wants me to give her stuff that I've been holding for her, and it's her routine. Like, she wants me to meet her, which I bring stuff, and then she says she doesn't have room for it, but she's out of gas and she needs food, and then she makes a scene. She'll throw her her stuff in the air, and I'll give her $5 or $10. She'll say, "What can I do with $10?" and start screaming. And so now I just tell her, give me an address to ship it to or to meet someone else, and I'll give it to them.
Right on.
Oh, yeah, she's off the bus.
She called me today, but I'm reminding you guys that Suzette actually met her in the flesh.
She's trying to work Jane over.
Suzette, you met her when the very first time.
Yes. Yep.
The first time
That's right.
me and John met, that girl was with us.
Okay, that's the same one.
Mm-hmm.
She's charming. She's funny. She's friendly. And
She likes to throw your laptop out into the ocean, and
There you go.
She was crazy.
About that.
She threw her iPhone over a boat.
Yeah. She threw a phone into a TV set at a hotel I was paying for her, and then I snuck out and bought one at Target for like $300, remounted it, although the mounting system didn't work, so I had to rebuy the base, and it was like almost $400 or $500, and she's still complaining and yelling at me because I charged so that she wouldn't be out in the streets. I charged the room, and of course I'm responsible for the whole thing.
and she took your keys, and you couldn't get back into your condo.
I would have never bought a new TV.
Well, they could have said it's going to be $1,000 with installation and all that stuff. So I figure at least I know the exact amount.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but this radio show's it's turning into group therapy.
Well, she's going to try and work on Jane until Jane cracks. She wants to get information on me. That's what remember she was asking how much money she that you thought I had because she was trying to get money off.
Yes.
You go. She's a pro.
One time she told me exactly how much money you had in the bank.
Well, how much money she thought I had?
Yeah, she calculated it. And then
She thought I had like hundreds of thousands of dollars living in a van.
Well, you could still live in a van and have money.
he
It's
did
frugal.
he did have a lot of money till he bought that sportsy car.
Well, it's actually was very valuable when I went across the country, but it just wasn't meant to travel too far. So, no, I don't regret it. It gets better gas than the van, so it's a good. People don't bother me, in the car because it's so cool. They don't think I'm sleeping in it. Sometimes, with a van, they immediately think you're homeless, which at times is correct. I still sleep in it if I'm doing a gig. Rather than drive back and forth 20 miles or 30, I'll just sleep in the van.
Yeah. Hey, if you're single and you have no kids and you, I don't want to say wander, but you travel frequently, why not? Save money.
I understand completely. I have a 370Z. I've had 370Zs for a long time, and I don't get any play anymore because they're scared. They're like, oh, it's a player. He's gonna take me away. Make love to me, and I will never leave. I let my husband touch me again. So they're worried about that. So I understand, John.
Oh, yeah.
Get a van, you can kind of just chill. They think you're, innocuous. Or selling drugs.
Or selling drugs, yeah.
Well, he's almost
transporting people. Mm-hmm.
He's old.
Yeah.
He's old now, so he's probably not selling drugs.
Right. Something like that.
So by the way, John and Don, the Timberwolves are kicking ass against the Lakers.
Yeah, they should have. I mean, it's not going to work out with those two old guys. But yeah,
I'm an old-time Lakers fan, but LeBron James is not a Laker. I hope they go down in flames. He needs to go.
So
he's not a Laker. He's a Cleveland guy. That's what he is.
Suzette, the Timberwolves are Minnesota. They're ahead in the series 3-1. They only need one more game to beat the Lakers.
I was telling Jane that Minnesota's cursed. I mean, they got Ilhan Omar, they've got Tim Waltz, and they
Stop
never
it!
Has Minnesota ever won anything in like Super Bowl or World Series?
Yes, we won the World Series. We won the Minnesota Twins won twice in 87 and 91, and our UMD hockey team has won the college.
hockey, ice hockey.
Yeah, we've won ice hockey like at least 10 times, and we've also.
The baseball was 35 years ago. I mean, that's kind of like a once in a lifetime. You win no matter what state you're in.
You're being a Debbie Downer. The Twins won in 65, 87, and 91. We've had
That's 34 years ago.
Jessie Dugard, or a girl with a name like that, won the Olympic cross country. Lindsey Vonn, Tiger Woods' old girlfriend, won downhill slalom skiing in the Olympics from Minnesota.
She dated Tiger. She's a loser.
A lot of Minnesotans are on the dream team that beat the Russians in 1980, and they're on every single U.S. Olympic hockey team. There's tons of Minnesotans.
That was 55 years ago.
I'm talking about all the Olympics, you bonehead.
The Boston Celtics hold the record for the most championships.
This is true.
They're very good, and they were very good when Magic Johnson was around for the Lakers.
And Larry Bird, they were rivals.
Yeah, they were one of the top teams.
Magic and Larry, yeah.
I was living in LA when the LA won back-to-back, 87 and 88. Oh, I have one more trivia, Suzette. The reason the LA Lakers are called the Lakers is they used to be the Minneapolis Lakers.
This is true. This is the one winning thing they have. The Lakers.
Interesting.
John,
Yeah.
your job tonight is, when you hang up tonight, is to look up all the Minnesotans who were on Olympic hockey teams over the last 25 years. Can you do that?
Can I look up all the losers from Minnesota like Bob Dylan and Hubert Humphrey?
Bob Dylan his movie just grossed over 70 million, the most award-winning the most watched biopic of all times by a musician.
He can't sing.
You know what? I am booting. One more comment and I'm voting you off the island.
But no, he's a genius at promoting himself. He is smart that way.
You know, he's
Really?
changed a lot over the years. He's some of his songs are very clear. If you go back and listen to the folk music festivals, he sang very clearly in those days.
That's true.
Well, some people's opinion about music, just like maybe some people don't like folk music. Maybe some people don't like rock and roll or country or whatever that's out there. I don't think you should strike him for that, for having an opinion about Bob Dylan. I mean, think about Journey, the singer.
Was he the singer for Journey?
People may not like his voice. They say all his songs sound the same, but there are others that say, wow, he's just like incredible, most talented type rock singer or whatever. But yeah, so,
Bob Dylan was also one of the first musicians to do rap in the Positively 4th Street video. Johnny on the fence cake, fixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement. Think about the government. A man in a trench coat just got laid off. Wants $100 bill. Just got paid off. Look out, kid. Something you did. God knows what, but you're doing it again. You better trench down the alleyway. Find yourself a new way. Okay, I'm done.
So you're saying that Bob Dylan gave us crap music. Is what you're saying?
Bob
that's
Dylan.
pretty good, Jane.
Thank you. Bob Dylan and Dr. Seuss were the first rappers.
I think, I mean, as far as musically, I will say, I think Muhammad Ali kind of started, it's from what I can tell, made it really popular to rhyme in a style that's, kind of the style of black rap. I mean, because I guess it was a thing before that among slaves to rap them, to prove who's the toughest in the group. Like, could you stump someone with your rhyme? So that kind of came the face off. And then, it evolved later on into, the music, to like street culture. On the street, I can outwit you with my mouth, and I can insult you, and it's kind of a rite of passage. Trash talking is a very guy sports thing. We like to trash talk.
Yeah, but that would be more rap, and then there's hip hop. Think of
like TLC.
The Beastie Boys. That's hip hop.
Right,
and then it converted over.
LL Cool J, Sisters with Voices. There's a lot of them.
And then the rap is more of a culture thing, with the rhyming. The being in the streets and being with the bitches and
having competition. Like in Eminem's biopic, they had competitions like for rapping.
Kind of like Don. Don comes from the streets, right?
No, he's from Milwaukee, a suburban middle class.
Oh, I thought he was from the streets. No.
He was upper middle class. His mother was a cop.
I thought he was a gangster.
Not even close.
I thought he was an OG.
I'm the one who lived in East LA. I'm the gangsta.
There you go. Gangsta queen.
I'm the white honky gangsta.
Wow.
Oh, I want
I
to.
don't know.
Can I say one more rap to you guys?
Why not?
I am a nightmare walking, a psychopath talking, king of my jungle, a gangster stalking, living life like a firecracker, quick as my views, and dead as the death as the colors I choose, good or bad because of blood. It just don't matter. Someone died for your life when your shotgun's shattered. We live in LA, we never die. We just multiply. You don't know me, fool. You just own me cool, so I'll walk like a giant. Police defiant. You say to stop, but I say that I can. My gang, my colors is all that I have. I'm a star on the wall, my autograph. You don't like it, so you know where you can go. The streets are my stage, terrorism my show. Try to psychoanalyze, diagnose me why. It wasn't your brother who brutally died, and it wasn't mine, so let me define. My territory, don't cross the line. Don't try to act crazy because the shit don't faze me. If I ran like a punk, it wouldn't amaze me. My gang, my colors is all that I have.
Who's that?
Me! Oh, it was from the movie Colors in 1987.
How many times did you hear that rap?
I memorized it when I worked at the LA Times in 87. I watched the movie and I liked the lyrics.
Well,
Rob asked if you go to church.
Don's calling back in. Just a minute. Don, you missed my rap.
Yeah, I lost connection.
Okay. So, does anybody else want to do a performance?
A hip, a hop, a hippie to the hip, a hip, hip, a hop, and a don't stop, a rock to the bang, bang, boogie set up.
Oh my
the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
Very good. John, what do you say about that?
Oh my goodness. So the question is, like, who can say all the words to Lose Yourself versus Baby Got Back?
Neither. I only know Bob Dylan and rap.
Not me.
Nope, I think I heard of that other song.
Can I say the best lyrics to a Christian song?
I don't think we can stop you.
Okay, this is my last one. In the time of my confession, in the hour of my deepest need. Don, mute yourself. Mute yourself, Don. In the time of my confession, in the hour of my deepest need, when the pool of tears beneath my feet flood every newborn seed. Okay, I'm going to stop. There's too much background interference.
Yeah. So does Lolo like rap or not?
I have no idea.
Oh my goodness.
He likes syncopated beats.
He likes beats.
He likes syncopated beats, and he likes 1950s you know, like music that they played in like nightclubs in the 50s.
Right, kind of like a jazz nightclub thing.
Yeah, like a smooth, kind of like old time music from the 40s and 50s. I don't know what it's called. I forgot. So
guys, interesting.
Do you guys want to talk any more politics tonight?
What would you like? What bothers you most today, Jane? Does Donald Trump? Is he eating inside your brain tonight?
No, but I wanted Suzette to do that hippity hop thing one more time.
That was pretty hot.
That was lame.
Go ahead, Suzette.
Okay, I forgot how it went. A hip, a hop, a hippie to the hippie, a hip, hip, a hopping. Don't stop a rocking to the bang, bang boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
Woohoo! Yeah, that was great. John, Trump hasn't bothered me lately because he was nice when the Pope died and he lowered the flags.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. And he met with Zelenskyy. Here he is the master of public appearance and publicity. He's the he's got this 3-ring circus going every day, and everyone has to check it out. He's a genius.
He fell asleep in the funeral. He fell asleep during the funeral.
He was just resting his eyes. Biden was asleep for the whole last 4 years. We just didn't know it.
Well, someone made a comment on social media. Don, what do you got to say tonight?
I'm pretty much kind of tired. I may have picked up this little cold that everybody's been getting out here anyway. So I was resting all day Sunday after work, and I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things. Work today, and I'll be working tomorrow and have a day off Wednesday to see if I can get 100%. But everything else is going absolutely swimmingly. We're doing things to the house, getting repairs, having cars, kids getting ready, grandkids getting ready. They're sports stars and AP classes. They're just doing fantastic. So I have nothing to really complain about or report. It's we're just going. The whole world is going as it should be. People are migrating. That's what the world has been. That's why we're here. Suzette, yeah, the men are cruel. What did you call them? So, I forgot. But yeah, they've been like that all the time.
She didn't say anything.
They were mad that Trump was wearing a blue suit instead of black at the funeral.
Well, I mean, it's good that he's pointing out that they're, men are men and women are women.
Who was mad?
But people have been, trying to avoid that reality. So it's a good thing that we bring that out to open. Oh.
They said that the whole funeral thing, nobody got killed. There was no terrorist act. You guys, can we do our conclusions? We have a bad connection. Or Don, can you hang up? It's your phone.
Okay, I'll call right back.
No, don't call back. Just hang up.
You're getting rid of Don? Oh man.
I can't. Your Martian phone with bunny ears is not working.
Okay, well, good night, everybody.
All right, good night, Don.
What's your new phone, Don?
Yeah, that's what my wife said.
Get an Obama phone.
No. I might not be able to call you then.
All right, bye, Don.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
I miss the black band.
So, do you guys have anything else to say? I feel like we kind of, I've kind of been engrossed in my study on Ezekiel and Elijah the prophet, because I was studying the Mount of Transfiguration when Jesus went up there with Peter, James, and John, and his face shone white and his clothes turned translucent white. And then Moses and Elijah appeared. So then I've been studying the history of Elijah's prophecy. And God was real mean in those days. Like the people kept disobeying, first with Jezebel and her husband Ahab. And then it got to a point actually earlier in Ezekiel where they had a choice. Now my phone's acting weirder. Can you guys hear that echo?
A little bit, sometimes.
Okay, I'm backing up. Well, anyways, there came a point in the Bible where Elijah's assistant had to mark people's heads to see if they were honest and true to God versus not. And all the people who didn't have a mark on their head, they got killed either by war or pestilence or starvation. And God allowed the whole tribe of Israel in that area to be wiped out. Like he was tired of their crap. He gave them like 390 days to get it together, and they didn't. So he just wiped them out. I'm just glad I didn't live in during that time, because there was not a lot of forgiveness involved. But the cool part of Elijah is he didn't die. He went up to heaven in a chariot of fire. He left. He gave Elisha his cloak, his successor, and he went up to heaven in a chariot of fire with horses coming down. Did you guys read that part of the Bible?
Great visual.
Yeah, it's in 2 Kings 2, verse 11.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm trying to do...
People think...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to study the Bible because I need deliverance from my son's disappearance.
Yeah, you've been kind of Catholic lately.
I've only been Catholic because I listen to the Catholic channel, but I'm technically a Lutheran.
Are you mourning the Pope's funeral? Like, is there like a 60-day thing, or
I thought he was a very caring person, and that he tried to reach out to a lot of people in the world, including the Iranians. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, last night, my brother and I preached at Hollywood Boulevard. We hold up signs and we get people to high five. We have one that says high five for Jesus. We get some music going. I dance around a bit. I'll do some popular songs that are positive, like I Just Want to Celebrate Another Day of Living by Rare Earth, or Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire, as well as gospel stuff. Do a lot of gospel, and we'll talk a little bit. I try to keep it a little not humorous, but kind of cutting, like edgy. And I had a guy come up to me first thing, and they were an edgy crowd. They're usually out there, people coming by, like at the pier. Sometimes they're friendly, sometimes they're angry, like we've been attacked before, especially because we have signs. They'll try to grab them, or the women do. They get militant, they get crazy. 4 times they've tried to grab my brother's sign or hit him. But last night, a guy came up to me, good-looking guy, and he started saying, "So, what do you think God feels about gays?" So I know it's going to be a gay issue. I usually answer one way. So I said, well, I think there's God. It doesn't matter what I think. I think it's what God feels is right or wrong. And he immediately showed me a picture. He said, well, this is me and my gay lover. That's a guy. And then he shows a picture of them kissing. He was, the guy was walking his dog as he was passing by on Hollywood Boulevard. And he pulled out on his phone. I guess he kind of has this ready. He said, here's a statement. It had the Pope in his face, and it said, if you're gay, what does it matter? If you're a good person and you love God, what does it matter? Because I know Jane had mentioned that the Pope wasn't allowing homosexuality, but he's reading off this statement endorsing, his gay lifestyle, because the Pope said, hey, what's the difference? And I said, well, I'll give you an answer. You want an answer? And I always have a zinger that usually stops him. And he started walking away. I said, because the crowd was gathering, because I was on mic, I'll let you know. Here's an answer regarding, what God thinks about, what it means to be gay, how I feel about it. And he kept walking away. He said, no, come back. I want to give you the line. And I said, well, let me give you the line. I said, basically, You wouldn't exist unless your daddy knew where to put his banana. And the whole crowd just started laughing and going, because like I sold the point. Like, you don't exist without understanding proper sexuality. And the Pope was vague about it. Now, I'll do a little research on that.
You were supposed to do it last week. You told me you'd do it last week.
I know. But, well, regarding, you could see the value of it. He immediately was quoting the Pope, right, to defend his whole lifestyle.
Well, that's not good. All the Pope said is the Pope said, if someone's gay and they do good works and they're a good person, who am I to judge them? That was pretty much. I think what he was really trying to say is that, I'm not going to condemn gay people right off the bat. That's what he was trying to say.
Now, he did clarify at some point that any sexual acts outside of marriage is a sin. So he's saying it's anyone if you do have sex outside. But what if you're gay and married? That's interesting.
Even heterosexuals aren't supposed to fornicate.
Well, he said he wanted the LGBTQ plus community to feel welcome. So that's pretty much saying...
Well, I think he doesn't want them isolated because it's better to have a gay person go to church than to them to be total outsiders, maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm not really sure, but people shouldn't take what the Pope says verbatim. The Romans 1 said it's a sin to go after your own flesh. You have to back it up with the Bible. There's a quote in Leviticus and Romans that says really. Well, Joel Osteen put it the best way politically. He said, it's not God's best way.
Oh.
In other words, it's not the ideal way to live a godly life, is being gay, but mainly...
I think though what he was trying to avoid is saying it's a sin, because that would then enrage the community and they would be considered homophobic. So that's the problem, is when people are afraid to... We've come to a point now where we can't say it's wrong publicly, because, I'll give you an example. Another guy came up to me and said, he ignored everything. He just said, hey, who did you vote for? And I said, now, there's three ways I could have answered. I could have said, I voted for Jesus. The other thing could have been, well, I'll answer that question. If you answer this question, do you listen to CNN or to Fox News? Because that kind of tells me what you believe, right? It really doesn't matter what a person does because here's the thing: if you watch something on CNN, they will show you only one side. If you listen to Fox, they'll show you the other side. And if you didn't know any different, you would think that Gilmore Garcia, that he was a nice Maryland guy, a family man. You wouldn't know he had domestic violence. You wouldn't know that he transported people. You wouldn't know that he had MS-13 tats on his fingers. He had symbols that represented, MS. Like I think he had a marijuana plant on one thing, and then the S. He had numbers that in Spanish mean the 13. And the point is, you would have never heard that on CNN. They just don't do it.
I have a question. What if someone said, I listened to the BBC and Al Jazeera?
Well, they're not... Al Jazeera, they're a little more level, but they all have I'll tell you, they have an anti-Trump slant. All of them, they really do. Now,
Al Jazeera, at least for Middle Eastern news, they report things exactly as they happened.
How do they feel about Gaza and Palestine and Israel?
They don't feel anything. They just report what happens.
Interesting.
including
Well, I know,
even if Saudi Arabia does something really unhinged, like there was
I
a.
know our friend Musabir
Well,
in
let's check in
Pakistan.
with Suzette. Suzette, are you still with us?
I am. I was just listening to you two
Okay, well
have an interesting conversation. No, it's good.
My brother supports a group in a church in Pakistan led by Musabir, and it's a 96% Muslim, about 1% Christian, 1% Hindu, and Buddhist and whatever else. And in his community, the local people said, "Listen, if you give us $300, we won't attack you." And and he wanted my brother to send him $300. He said, "No, if you pay them off, they'll never stop. They'll want more money. They'll extort you." It's like, and then he went back to the police, and the police said, "Okay, we'll try to stop. Like you're okay. You don't have to pay the money." But they're constantly into these situations where they're being persecuted. And if they find out, like he's in a Christian community, which I guess is very small, because the rest of the country is Muslim, and it's just a different culture. They will beat you up, and it's very important. Like President Trump is very anti, the whole Gaza thing, the whole Palestinian movement, because this is what you get. You get these societies, like right now they have in...
well, why is your brother involved with a church that's only 1% Christian?
Oh, because, they ask for support, and they're very poor. They make maybe $1 a day.
So why can't he just send them, like, can he send them $10 to $20 a month and let it end at that?
They always need more. They meet out, it's 120 some degrees. They meet out Sunday morning at 10 a.m. They have no roof. They're on dirt. They actually have live service. He preaches to them a live service through like a simulcast, and it's the jobs available are like carrying stones and things like that. It's a very primitive culture. They like I say, they will go from village to village and attack people. So they had to move from one place they were at to another village like an hour away to meet. It's crazy. The
well, the thing is like on Instagram, I've seen pictures of African kids that have like their faces all deformed and like they got burned in a fire and half the scars off their face. Like their mouth is distorted. Like, how can I fix a problem like that? I can't give to everybody.
No, but here's the thing. So like in Minnesota, when you have Ilhan Omar and people like that, and they go, "Well, we're just a friendly culture." No, they're bringing in culture that will destroy America. Like in Minnesota, some of those council meetings, they got half the people running. They're Islamic. They've got their hats on and all that stuff. In London, they're making it now. They're making it legal where you have to respect their prayer time. But if you stand outside, say, an abortion clinic, and you silently pray as a Christian, they'll arrest you. If you're preaching on the street, we have seen video, like a guy's just preaching on the street corner, people are attacking them.
Well, they've been arrested now. They just passed a new law in the UK.
So when we start talking, well, hey, we should be more tolerant and let's have some mosques and things like that. No.
Well, they do have mosques, John. There's a mosque in Virginia. There's up by Arlington, Virginia. Well, actually, it's near a university. And
right, and what they're going to do, like they do in Europe, they'll start to populate an area, certain areas. They'll populate heavily, and then they'll start running for community council. And then they're going to influence and say, "Listen, we need to respect Ramadan and the prayers to Mecca every day." And then Christian, you can't display your Christianity because that's offensive to the culture, and start arresting people. And you say this is crazy. No, that's what they're doing in the UK right now.
Well, it hasn't gotten that far yet here.
this?
I think it's in Michigan, maybe in Minnesota. I don't know.
It's in Michigan.
It's a city that plays with prayer music that during their prayer time 3 times a day in that city.
Yes.
It's in it's in Dearborn, Michigan, I believe.
Minneapolis.
It's Dearborn, Michigan. It's 5 times a day.
Right. Now, can I get on a bullhorn and blast Jesus saves, you need Christ? No, they'll arrest you. That's the difference. So when we start saying, well, what's the harm? Because the culture, this is it's like I say, there's 2 forms. You have jihad, but you have another form, and basically it's pre-jihad, and we're in the pre-jihad moment. Like they can't physically by force take the culture, so instead they begin to implement by population and by community. They get into leadership, a local community, then they get senators and congress people, and then you run a guy in to run for like the mayor or the governor, and suddenly the whole state shifts. And that's people.
Well, Minnesota's not there yet. We have a lot of Somalians in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and we have a big pocket of Africans in Minneapolis, but many of them are Christians.
You have to say, how long has Islam been around? And how long has
do you know that she represents a Jewish community too, her district? She has the largest Jewish population in the state, in her district. Yes.
And she's with Palestine. She's with Hamas.
She's also married to a white dude.
Right. Well, because she needs the money. But the point is that she offends the Jewish community, and she doesn't imagine they're trying to get rid of a shooter.
Okay, I have to ask you guys something. Okay. I'm 64 years old and I'm having bathroom issues, and now I have to go. So you and Suzette can talk. I won't be back for 5 minutes.
Okie doke.
Okay.
So, but one thing I want you to keep in mind is I actually live here. So I just wanted to say that the Somalians in St. Cloud, they got together and they created their own private partnership, and they created a low-income housing thing on their own without public support, so they could build housing for their own people. So not every Muslim does bad things. Like, don't put them all in one category, please. But
the issue though you have is that the culture.
I'll be right back.
That is the MO. You don't go in with swords and with torches.
She's got to go in the bathroom.
Yeah, go ahead and go. But the point is, the culture is to go in, smile, and say hi. It is in the Quran to be friendly, to lie, and gain the confidence of the infidel. When Jane comes back, the whole key is, at the end of the day, you are an infidel, and you're a fool to be treated like a fool. Like, oh, hey, hey, idiot, how you doing? Oh, you're so cool, you're so nice. I like your cars. I want to be part of your culture, or the religion of peace. But if you go to where it's practiced in bulk, it's not the religion of peace, and that's what I'm telling Jane. In Pakistan, they chase them from town to town. They ask for money to not go beat them up or to tear down their structure.
Well, also there's community housing for their community, and that starts to develop factions within our nation when they start popping up with these communities that are either Somalian, Muslim. These different groups, and they start splitting off, and then pretty soon they're not obeying the laws. They're implementing their laws and their beliefs on everybody else, because now they have the numbers in the community, but they infiltrate our local, state, and federal governments. That's their goal, is to take over.
Right, and we're not enforcing. There's have you heard of I'm sure you have, but the talk radio host Michael Savage?
Oh yeah,
It's in Savage Nation, and it talks about language borders and culture, and like you, and one thing that Trump reemphasizes is English is our language. We need to speak English. We need to get our borders. And the other thing, he hasn't pushed it as much, but it goes along with that. That's the culture. The culture is so important because it's your identity, and it defines how you're going to react. And someone say, well, what's so important about culture? Culture is you have the nuclear family, you have your mom and dad, you have a value system of the Bible, and then you take that culture out, you strip it, then what do you have? Oh, atheism. And they're abort babies and single mom, and then pretty soon you put in anything. Oh, robot society. Just anything you want to believe you can be your trans identity, and how did that all happen?
May I say something now that I'm back?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, Lauren's family were Liberians. They came here between 1989 and 1993 from a war-torn civil war. Their first choice was not to move into the cold, barren tundra. Like a lot of these Muslims that are coming from like Ethiopia and Somalia, they're not coming here to invade us. They came here because they were forced to be, because they're from war-torn regions. So many of the Muslims adapted, and so did the Christian Liberians. For example, at one time, Lauren's grandma owned 2 houses, and every one of Lauren's family members now owns a house. But what I'm saying is that I really don't think, I understand your idea of like they're community based and they collectively work together and they have their own place of worship. Like in Duluth, they only have 1 rented space for Muslims and it's a low population, but I don't think they're coming here with sinister beliefs. And then the other thing is that I'm not trying to say you're not a real Christian, but if you believe in, of course you are, but if you believe in the power of God, the Christian church and the strength of the Christian community in Minnesota and other places are strong, and Jesus Christ is going to prevail everywhere. So it's not like the power of Jesus in the church is not going to be overtaken by the Muslims.
Well, yeah, no, actually.
We have history that proves, that has shown time and time again, and it shows the numbers, how they start and how they begin to spread. They're having multiple babies, stuff like that, but their numbers gradually increase. With that comes their beliefs that start to encroach upon the Christians.
That's true, but a lot of white people voluntarily left the church between 1975 and like 2015. So a lot of white people fell away.
But here's a concept. Do you understand this concept? You and I and Suzette were infidels. We'll always be infidels. Understand that. When a Muslim comes in this country, they don't come in here with a sword and with a torch. They come in here going, hello, stupid infidel. Hi, we're the religion of peace, idiot. And then let me propagate here. Let me move in, dummy. And then this isn't true. No, ask you, are we infidels? I go, oh, no, of course you're not infidels. They're infidels. That's what the culture believes. They want you, and like, why don't you all convert to Jesus and Christianity? They're not going to do that. And if you did, that's an invasion of their belief system. The whole idea is jihad is to restore the law of the Quran on the culture, and they will either do it by force or by subversion, by subliminal. So if you don't understand that concept, that is the whole end game. Is you must become sooner or later or die. Read the, just get the publication Voice of the Martyrs. They have all they do is support women whose husbands were killed for the gospel. The only one killing Christians on the planet today are Muslims.
Okay, well, let's...
Hindus don't kill Christians. Buddhists don't kill Christians. Even atheists, they may persecute. They don't kill Christians. Do you understand today in the world, in Pakistan, and across those all those areas, Lebanon, whatever, the only people who kill Christians are Muslims. And you don't hear
okay, so what's your point? We still only have 1%. We only have 1% Muslims in Minnesota. We have the Montana militia who's gonna kick their ass if the Muslims try to take over.
Well, say that to the communities where they're on the councils and where we have a representative in Congress, right? And there's also Talib, and there's more and more they want to integrate. Once you start changing, you get a mayor or you get a governor. Suddenly.
So are you afraid? Are you afraid?
Oh, I'm not afraid. I'm realistic.
Okay, my Pakistani husband.
I understand. I'm not afraid that I'm going to get killed for the gospel. I have people attack us. We're out there on the street. I have people flashing their Satan signs and coming up. And again, then the gays get more violent than others. And the Antifa crowd, and they're not sharing the love of. I'm just sharing Jesus' love. I'm not physically threatening to beat anyone up. I could talk about anything else, gay rights, gay pride, march in the streets with signs. You start talking Jesus, it brings the devil out of people.
That's because Jesus said that. Jesus said that the Spirit will pierce and divide people.
Yes. So is God going to protect me? No, he says he'll persecute us and put us to death, for the gospel. So
well, in the name of
when you encourage or when you write off all their behavior, they're peaceful, they're nice, or I know some nice Muslims, you're allowing their tactic is you're an idiot to them. Like, oh, you're just stupid.
Okay, well, can you let me finish because I have to do something.
Go ahead.
We're doing our conclusions now, but my Pakistani husband said we're all people of the book. We're Christian, Jews, and Muslims, and that God's going to sanctify it all in the end. Now, everyone knows that no one goes to heaven unless you confess with your lips that Jesus Christ is Lord. There's a prerequisite, but for peaceful purposes tonight, and as I say in our 12-step meeting, I can't worry about things I can't control. Jesus and God are still in charge of the universe and the orchestration of events. So I'm not gonna worry about it tonight. I'll let God handle it.
I understand, but God works through us. I can tell you the German lady, I forget her name, who's at Beyond H2O in Santa Monica. I talked to her about a month ago. She married a Muslim he's like, hey, I'm not really a Muslim. I'm just, I have that background, and you're a Christian, and hey, that's all cool, that's all groovy. And then after he got married, suddenly, I'm a Muslim. Like, my eyes are open, and now she says her life is hell because she's got this promise to God with this guy who will never be a Christian, who torments her and pushes her buttons, and she's a one-woman show for Jesus. She's on her own, and I can tell you, we deal with the person every day. It's life or death, or the attack of his church. He wants to put money in his church, and we're like, well, you had to move from the last one. If you put in the walls and the ceiling, it's $2,000. They're gonna just attack you, and you're gonna have to leave it for someone else to have. So it's like just put up a tarp in your 120-degree weather. I'm just saying this is warfare, and The end of, you read Revelation, think about this. They will behead people, right? In Revelation for the gospel. What culture on the planet beheads people today? There's only one culture that does it.
Islamic extremists.
Islam. They do, and you just look at. They do it even to this day. They'll do it as a sign. I'm just saying that's no one speaks out against the caliphate. No one speaks out against the imams.
Yes, they do. We tried. We put him down in 2009, and
no, I'm talking within their culture. No one speaks out against the Ayatollah.
They're scared. Actually, there was a subversive. There was a anti-government movement in Iran recently. It was underground.
You have to be very careful because it's they're all wearing, they're all covered up. So
okay, well, let's do our conclusions now because Janessa has to work at a school tomorrow.
Yes.
And I would like Suzette to go first since I haven't heard from her much.
Oh, well, I did my hip hop thing.
Is that your conclusion?
No. I just wanted to say that everything that we talked about tonight, from the judges to the first topic that we had when we spoke on, which was, what was that again, Jane?
It was on the Justice Department being reshaped.
Oh, yeah, the reshaping of the justice system. There's a lot of changes being made, and a lot of shakeup, and there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on. They're just in fear. I would just say, give them the advice which you gave them, Jane, or just mentioned as far as you can't change the things that you don't have control of, and just to relax. If you're not religious, well, then just kick back and see what happens. And if it's the wrong things that are happening, or big mistakes are being made by the administration, then people will gather. They know. I mean, that's what got Trump elected in the first place. They saw a lot of things going wrong in the wrong direction for our country, and people spoke. And that can happen again. And even with MAGA groups, MAGA people are not stupid. And not to be confused with conservatives or Republicans. MAGA's their own entity unto themselves. And they're actually for the country. So make no mistake, if this country starts going in the wrong direction, people will say something.
Right. And I want to mention that, I'll just do my conclusion quick. Bernie Sanders has a huge movement going on. I'm not sure what he's going to accomplish through Act Blue, but he's going from town to town and city to city and talking about oligarchies and blah, blah, blah. But I want to see him put his words into action. Like, I want to see some concrete legislation happen, not just words. But he does have he has a really strong movement going on among red and blue states. He's popular in every state, including Idaho, like states that are all red practically. So I don't really have a conclusion because I'm starting to feel ill, but I'm just hoping our country, I don't react too much to the news anymore, but I'm paying attention. John, your turn.
Well, my conclusion is that the Democratic Party, which is at its record low, is in the low 20s of popularity. I mean, it is totally tanked. Their only hope is if they go to the middle, be it moderate, progressive kind of thing, a Clinton thing, an Obama. They have to unite their party. Bernie Sanders will draw a lot of fringe, a lot of radical, a lot of people that want to just change the whole system and trash America. It's not going to work. America's run off of big corporations. It's run off of billionaires and entrepreneurs. Communism and socialism does not reward that. It takes that away. It takes away incentive, because if you get $1 billion, you're going to want to split it up. And they think if you take away all the money from the rich, we'll all have plenty of money. That doesn't work that way. You have to have high and low. You have to have rich and poor. It's always been. If you split all the money, the thing is, if you split up as a person who has, say, Walmart, you're not going to have a Walmart. You can have Joe's Corner Grocer. So you have to have, that's how you get jobs. You work with the Walmart, you work with the medical chain, you work with, big oil, big pharma, big chemical, big, auto, right? You have to have those entities to support. So the Democratic Party needs to find a hero, a Clinton or an Obama kind of guy with some swag to unify them. Until they do that, they need to they talk about democracy and the threat to democracy. Well, we voted him in. The majority did. Whether it's a small or a large amount, we voted him in. He gets 4 years to do his thing. So everyone, either go with it or stop fighting it. Just let it happen. And at the end, and watch what happens. Let's see. Let's find out if it's an effective experiment. Then let's keep going. And if it's not, you can vote in another person because everyone's going to say we don't like this. But I think he's got. If you want democracy, just smile and let it happen. And work hard and hustle. Enjoy making America great. However you do it. So that's my conclusion. Is just sit back, let democracy do its thing, and if you're on the other side, left or right, get in the middle. Either side, get in the middle, and we can move together. That's my conclusion.
As long as it doesn't turn into an oligarchy.
Well, the thing is, Bernie's going to fly from town to town. He's going to get donations from super PACs. They all do. They say they don't, but how do you think? How could Kamala Harris have a 1.4 billion war chest over Donald Trump's 500 or 600 million? It's big money, big money. Yeah, you cannot have. They made up this word oligarchy. And it's because it makes people go, oh, oligarchy. It's like, that's just people with money. What's wrong with having money if you earned it? There's a question to that.
All right, John, I gotta go. You have to save it for next week.
Company, do you deserve it, or you have to split up your company because you made it working hard and having a great idea?
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you,
Good
John.
night, princesses.